Well, you know, what's interesting about the lean startup is now, of course, the vocabulary is slowly sinking into the entrepreneurship community. But obviously, if your investors are telling you about, you know, making the plan, and you're talking about what you've learned from customers, there's an impedance mismatch that's pretty large. And I think it's incumbent into entrepreneurs to understand, who are you taking money from? Because one of the things I never understood, took me a long time, is to understand the minute you take money from someone, their business model has now become yours. It's a big idea. Their business model has now become yours. And the other thing to understand about investors is they have a portfolio of 10 to 15 companies in their fund. You have a portfolio of one. So they might be just happy having their entire portfolio swing for the fences and screw lean. You know, we don't want you to be thoughtful. We want you to all swing for the fences. And if your model is, no, I want to do iterations and pivots and make small bets and whatever, you've not quite gotten in sync. And the time to have that discussion is not at the first board meeting, but actually before, and preferably in writing. So I remind entrepreneurs who are kind of want to go practice this, make sure your investment strategy matches your startup strategy. And then number two, to kind of understand your role in a startup, there's nothing more tragic to find a founder who's excellent at search, thinking that they're going to grow the company and be the CEO of a 1,000-person company when their investors have already determined that they're going to be bringing in an operating exec. Startups actually go through three phases: the search phase, the build phase, which VCs never tell you about, and then the growth and execute phase. And obviously founders are great at search, but not all of them are great at the build phase, which is, you know, hire HR, you know, write the, you know, put together the sales comp manual, you know, build departments, etc. And very few make it to growth. Is how do we take it public and how do we get to $100 million? Understanding who you are can save you a lot of pain and grief when your VCs start looking at you and saying, perhaps we need an operating exec and perhaps you ought to be chairman of the board. Not having that conversation early on in some kind of explicit terms also can save a lot of disappointment and pain later on.